That is the panel discussion on the topic CFO Talks, Conversation with Leaders on Their Transformation Journey. And before I introduce our panel speakers, please allow us a minute. We'll set up the stage for the panel. With it, we have Mr. Nikhil Arora, who is India and Korea and Rest of Asia CFO at Honeywell. Sameer Agarwal, Group CFO at Manipal Health Enterprises. And Mr. Pavan Rangachar, who is Director of Finance at Philips. Please welcome the entire panelists with a huge round of applause. And over to you, 𝗖𝗙𝗎 ma'am, to get started with the moderation.
Good evening. We have a very, as I said at the beginning in my earlier session, I really feel so humbled because while speaking to each one of them last week and day before, I realized how much more their experience has been. So I'm going to just slightly differ from what I was given to do today. I thought I'll just be more specific and to the extent that I could draw each one of them into share their specific, specialized and unique experience. Something I'm sure when I was speaking to them, I found it extremely enlightening. So much more informed than I was. So I think let's start with. So some I'm going to just put as problems, some I'm going to state as questions. And I think to Nikhil, I think we were all talking about I think today, Sriram there, I think we just have a surname, easy now, so no, not out of remember, is about one source of truth. And I think you mentioned about it. And this is something was unique to me because, confess, I still am Excel. My laptop is full of Excel. So, one large reason, I can take an excuse that I have 5 different regulators I deal with, IRDA, RBI, SEBI, stockbroking. So fortunately, please excuse me folks here that my spreadsheet my reports can't be one single because I deal with, and each one of them have their silos of not sharing database and things. So I am excused as a group CFO, I'm excused to have my spreadsheet. So I'd like to hear from you what you are doing and how you handle it.
First of all, good evening, everybody, and thanks, 𝗏𝗏 for the question and giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts around this topic. Personally, I've been with Honeywell for about 2 years now, and as a part of the journey for the last 2 years, one of the agenda that I've taken on a personal front is to be making the finance teams more productive. I mean, just to give you some background why I say that, when we do our planning in Honeywell and the prior companies I've worked for, the concept that we use specifically in Honeywell here is we start with FCPO1, fixed cost to the power of 1, when we do a planning for the next year. What that means is you got to reduce your cost by 1%, net of everything, merit increase, and so on and so forth. So we're always, looking for ways to be more productive, do cost optimization, which means as a CFO, I have to look for areas where I will divest and use that fund to reinvest in the areas which make sense from a growth perspective. That applies to finance resources as well. We cannot be doing the same way that we used to do before. So in my priorities as finance, I'd like my team to focus more on analytics, forward-looking analytics, rather than reporting. And when I joined Honeywell, one of the things I noticed was a lot of time that was being spent was on reporting and customized reporting for business, because everybody wants spoon feeding, in the email first thing in the morning and so on and so forth. Over the last 2 years, what we have done is invested, we have a tool called Digital Finance, where it's basically a single source of truth. All our monthly financials, quarter to date, YTD, year to date, we review from there. It has all the elements of P&L that you can think of, all the possible cuts. Those are standard templates, but they have potentially all possible cuts at the regional view, country view, and things like that. So what it has done is it has taken a lot of time out of the teams in terms of what they used to spend on in terms of reporting, and then they're using their time more productively to spend using that data to analyze data and drive the business, which is where I want them to focus on. And initially it was hard with the business teams, the adoption and things like that. So what we do now is all our month-end reviews and our, we do monthly MBRs, business reviews as well. Everything happens through digital finance as well as far as the financials are concerned. Even our reviews with the global team, since we are MNC and our reviews happens with global on a weekly basis, we use that tool for forecasting as well. So it's not just the actuals that we review from there. We also look at forecasting. We submit our weekly forecast from a quarter and month perspective. Everything happens through that tool. I mean, I can say I probably was a bad guy where the GMs, the general managers came and said, this is creating a lot of problems for us. So, I had to explain them. And finally, it's all about self-serve. I mean, there's so much of information out there. Excel has its own limitations. PowerPoint has its own limitations. So it's just stop PowerPoint presentations. We don't do that anymore, not just for the local reviews, but even for the global reviews. So that's been, I would say, a big achievement from my own perspective. And I think the previous speaker talked about as well, the single source of truth. Because a lot of time I'm sure that all of you would have experienced, we spend on this is not my data shows. The business guy will come with his own set of data, and in a 30 minutes meeting, 10 minutes just goes off and just reconciling data, which is gone now, right? So because there's only one source of truth that everybody refers to.
Interesting. Yeah. You've made a few people lose their job. I'm just wondering if we didn't have PowerPoint, I don't know, my team, couple of them will lose job because, well, I don't know how to make a PowerPoint and there are people assisting me doing that if I didn't have one.
Well, we still have Excel, unfortunately, but PowerPoints we are trying to get away with.
So here you use digital, and I was thinking of in terms of Mr. Bhaskar Rao's same digital, but he has and I want to understand from him, he has a customer which is, I would call it as a faceless, because the passenger are his ultimate and who are not, whose demands are something which he has to estimate and still digitalize, which we don't even not knowing what is that they require, what makes them comfortable. So I would like to understand how you look at digital.
Yeah, I mean, it might sound cliche also at times, but airports world over are a little bit dinosaur. They moved from your manual system to digital system in a very phased manner, very slow, and still you see a lot of manual processes which goes around in a lot of airports. Moving to a digital sort of a way and moving to more automation for us came through because of a need. It was need which made us accelerate a lot of our journey into digital. The need arose when, say, around 2017, when we were unable to handle the passenger growth, as well as the growth in cargo, growth in overall. I mean, Indian aviation has been a phenomenal journey in the last 15 years. It has grown on a CAGR growth of about 12 to 13% across the country. And there's been a tremendous amount of privatization which has happened. Now, I have explained at that time also that in our case, the capacity growth doesn't come on an organic manner, it comes in lumps. I mean, if I have to increase the capacity, we increase the capacity from, let's say, 12 million passengers to a 20 million passenger. Our Terminal 1 had 20 million passenger from a perspective of peak passenger load. However, by the time COVID hit us, we were handling 33 million passengers. The only way we could manage that was to bring in digital aids, where we used digital in every form. We used digital for queue management, where we could, through sensors and through cameras and through a platform, understand what are the key points where the passenger flow gets stuck. So with more and more red, we know how to, we started understanding where the pain points are and started bringing solutions around. We also knew that, there are many areas where our capability to handle the passenger growth could not be managed. one of them was the baggage handling. So we thought we'll bring in more technology over there. We started experimenting on the self-bag drop, which substantially increased our capacity on baggage handling. The security, another pain point in an airport. So we started looking at automated tray retrieval system. Even once you get to what we call the security hold area, after the security area, I mean, people would have to line up to get their idlis. So we started looking at solution for that, saying we will, deliver the idlis to the place where you sit in the boarding gate. So digital came as a result of our, inability to put the infrastructure immediately, and also to manage and make sure that the passenger gets what the passenger needs. And in our case, the reaction is instantaneous. The next day, the tweet will come across saying, Bangalore Airport is this, Bangalore Airport is this. So it's a continuous journey. And this digital initiative that we started, let's say in a passenger front, which is a terminal, we started rolling it back across our organization. The BI system, that was something which we envisaged around 2018, and today, like Subhashri has rightly mentioned, that it's turning to be the one point of truth for us. We've started looking at RPA. We've started getting into IoT platform to make sure we are the only utility providers across the airport, to make sure that we have an efficient utilization of our power, efficient utilization of the water and other utilities. We started putting IoT devices across, and have brought in an IoT platform to optimize on our costs as far as utility consumption in an airport is concerned. So we then, you must have heard about the 𝗕𝗓𝗄 movement, or 𝗕𝗓𝗄 the face is my boarding pass concept. So that again started with Bangalore Airport. Today we are ready in every perspective to roll it off. We've done our trials. We have made sure that the airport is entirely ready. We're just waiting for the platform which will recognize or which will keep the data. Because of the data privacy, we are not allowed to keep any of the passenger data. So we are waiting for that platform to get developed, which in the next couple of months will roll over all over the country. So digitization, today Indian airports are a leader in digitization transformation. And that's not only for Bangalore Airport. We take pride that we have taken a lot of initiative in this. We put in a digital innovation lab, which has brought in a lot of solutions as well. But it is translating across all airports, and it's a proud moment for all Indians that India is taking a lead in the digitization of airports.
In fact, I totally agree, because a decade ago, foreign travelers to come to India, or our investors to come, they would think our airport is little archaic and like a bus stop. And I remember I want to point it out. You said in your thing, the city deserves the airport. I come from a city of Chennai, and I think we didn't deserve the airport.
Yes,
so unfortunately,
we are anticipating that
the
airport
new
to
airport,
get private,
the new
so that
airport.
we can come and participate.
It is one of the worst it's not a private airport, so it's not one of the best. I think Chennai city still have not deserved it. Chennaites have not deserved it. Now, anecdote I remember, and I'm sure this digital is something which all of us experience. I know in Mumbai airport, especially the terminals, there used to be a lot of ruckus when people used to forget their tag to the luggage. And some nasty security guys will say, go and pick the tag, come on. You will have it, you will not give it. You will have to go all the way up and pick that tag and come and huff and a puff. And today we have just done, I have a DigiTalker, I have my app in my mobile, I don't carry a printer, no paper, and everything is on the go. I think you made something, and I think the entire Indians, as we can be proud of having led the world on this aviation. Because many international airports are not as comfortable as Indian airports are.
Absolutely.
Even the best of the US airports are not. including the immigration. It's
Most of the US airports are
much slower.
upgraded bus stops. Right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Pathetic.
So
So,
here is where you can justifiably say look east for the development.
perfect. So I'm just taking something out of your industry. Well, you didn't mention about it because I think all of us understand is your business has a lot of fuel, not the airport, but airlines as the industry, not the airport. Airlines is the fuel and is the forex issue. And speaking to Samir, I think I got to hear on the whole point of is M&A and how he has, and I somehow in this whole today's presentation, maybe I missed the first half, I did not anyone speak about forex. I mean, that is a nightmare for any CFO. And we are, all of us in our life must have gone done some derivatives and lost our sleep over it. I don't know how many of you have lost your sleep. I have lost my sleep. Hedging and derivatives is a nightmare for a CFO. ISDA document, I'll run away. Now, if somebody tells me sign an ISDA, I'll run miles away. So I give him a chance. So I like to understand how it has been your journey on that.
Yeah, thanks. And thank you for having me on the stage, esteemed panel. And thanks for giving us that airport. Still quite crowded though, but thanks for giving us the airport. But yes, I agree. I think so. India has taken a leapfrog in digital in all the fields. Airport being one, microtech finance, and reaching out even a normal UPI. Germany is struggling to implement UPI, right? So we definitely have done something right. On the FX and M&A, and just wanted to talk about M&A, is one of the things on the transformation of any business could be organic. I think so. Sandhya talked a lot about that, and some of it could be inorganic. And how does a CFO play a role on deciding the organic and the inorganic? And obviously the FX and the cost. And now if you are doing an M&A, it's debt or equity. You sort of take a call on that as well. On the FX side, I will just touch upon my previous experiences in MNC organizations specifically, and I have Nikhil on the stage as well, where some of your colleagues in the US don't look at the rupee because they can't still pronounce crores. Crores is a synonym only in the country in India. So you have to convert it into dollars, and if the dollar keeps moving up and down, your revenues start moving up and down despite your rupee value doing well. The other challenge in an MNC organization is, especially if you have raw material coming from abroad, and that's where the innovation happens in the US. A lot of the American MNC which do manufacture in the country is more assembling. And when I joined one of my previous organizations, the rupee moved from 44 to 66, and it just moved in 6 months. The MNC organizations were not too much hell-bent on price, 𝗶𝗶𝗍. So they never used to take up price, but they used to work on VAVE, as it's called, value added and value engineering. And that's when actually I had joined them at the business finance. And to the Sandhya's point about how do you dovetail yourself into the business, sort of understand what's the impact of forex on the raw material, which is then converted into a finished product, and then try to look at the front view and the back view to come up with a solution of what the price would be, because you can't keep negotiating contracts with the customers in India. But what we started to do is to build in the FX in the contract itself. So some of the FX contract is, we had long-term contracts with, like, say, Maruti, and they used to look at the Japanese yen. So you try to build in instead of doing the hedging and accounting, which is usually complicated, no value add, is to start building them into the contract and start telling your teams of how the FX impacts. We moved away from the traditional, and I like the incentive models in the finance and in the sales and marketing, though as finance, we never got it, was you can drive behaviors. And how we change behaviors, especially when an FX keeps moving up and it's again become 82, is to move away from revenue to margins, right? If you move away from revenues to margins, from revenues to collection, huge change happened. Actually, we tripled profitability in my previous companies in 2 years. We reduced our DSO. We repaid working capital loan, and I left the company with 300 crores of fixed deposit. So you can drive innovation by not being too much dramatic. You don't have to be dramatic, but you can drive behaviors when people understand. So you have to take people along, and that's what I've learned in my experience of 25 years, is if you take business along, that's the best place to be. You'll have the best parties there, and if they are with you, driving compliance is actually very easy because you're trying to take away their problem and then they take away yours. In the M&A world, the debt and equity and FX impacts healthcare. I think so Sandhya will agree because all the machinery is imported, but not of too much of that people in India understand needs to be built into the healthcare cost. And that's why somebody will ask, Samir, you have got a robot, will the cost come down? Nobody knows that the robot is actually an imported item. The consumables come from abroad, it's expensive. The cost of delivery, healthcare is also fixed cost of delivery. But unfortunately, healthcare has got caught up between social and capitalists because capitalists are putting money, socials want the output, they're not ready to put in the money. So that's where you sometimes sort of get stuck. But how we look at debt and equity, I feel in an M&A world is equity is more expensive than debt. And sometimes people find that debt a very bad word because we as Indians have been brought about saving money, don't take loan, enjoy what you have in your money. But debt, if leveraged properly, is actually a tremendous growth potential because you get debt reasonable cost. Equity is very expensive because the expectation from the person who puts in equity is really large. We have been able to do a couple of M&As in the last couple of years, and everything happened during the COVID time. We sold an asset, we bought 2 assets, which has actually made us number 2 in the country. From being a Bangalore-based hospital, Manipal, it has become an all-India chain. So you can get geographical presence almost immediately, though it brings in the challenge of merger of cultures between the M&A. But if you build in the proper cost, look at the effects on the MNC side, in the Indian side, it's the supply chain which keeps doing the negotiation with the suppliers who come up with the, now I'm on the other side, right, where the MNC will come to me and ask me for a price increase. And I say, no, I do not know, that's your sourcing issue, right? And we try to beat them down. But its effects on an MNC can actually really drain your P&L very fast. And on the debt and equity, I think sort of if leveraged properly can give you real good leverage on the balance sheet as well as the growth potential. So I don't know if I answered the question, but that's what.
I just realized both Bhaskar and him have used the COVID very advantageously. You used the COVID time to do a lot of transactions, M&A
Yes.
transactions.
Yes.
So it's where healthcare was a little bit distracted with the COVID specific. I think there's a lot of activity. And here I take down. And I remember when he mentioned, before COVID it was 33 million, well the airport was designed for 20 million. And used this COVID time to get an upgrade. So while there was a time, I mean, I'm sure Fairfax and others have had bigger agenda to it. But the more specific is somebody has used an opportune time to do something interesting, more valuable. Yes, yeah, that, and you are almost at a breakneck speed at 33 million. I thought you were already 1.5 times the capacity, and you have built that period.
We are still 1/3 of the EBITDA margins that Mr. Bhaskar Rao drives. So hopefully,
And
if we get to the same EBITDA margins, people will not say that healthcare has become expensive. We are still 1/3.
But you had a very point in, if not in this industry, in earlier business, you said you moved away from value to margin.
Yes.
Now I have understood like what she mentioned about how to negotiate, rip up the customization. I have to now understand how to negotiate with you. What hurts
I'm
you
putting
and
my
what
fixed deposit with you, but not taking loan from you.
And he left a business with a cash flow and no debt, which is not music to my ears. When he told me the no debt company, I said, boss, why would I have to deal with him? So now coming to Pavan, when he said he's in Philips, and when I saw his thing, my mind was something of Philips. And I understand that it is all in systems and technology. So I would like to understand what is, and I understand that you do the global part of the Philips technology, so technology part of it.
Software
Yeah,
R&D, that's right.
So I like to understand that, and how do you do it from India?
Yeah, okay. So thank you again for the opportunity to be part of this nice panel and share my thoughts on a little bit of what Philips is doing. And to say customer centricity is so important for us. So I can't say that, I can't say anything without saying that. So yeah, having said that, actually, we've been always embarking on quite a bit of transformation. So most of us know Philips for, can some of you tell me?
Bulbs.
Light bulbs, right? Absolutely. So light bulbs were the first product that came out of Philips about 125 years back in Netherlands. And now, as of now, we have already divested lighting, and it was 6 years back, right? So letting go of something that was so much of your core is something that is real true transformation, if I can say so, right? And but what we have done is we have leveraged the part of lighting, the benefits that come along with that innovation that has happened, to move into healthcare. And healthcare transformation as a company that has happened over the last 10 years, it's not an easy journey, because there is so much of regulation around it, and I don't have to talk about it, Sameer, and quite a few of you would know the kind of regulations that are around healthcare. So first of all, the transformation journey, and I was just looking at the title of this particular panel discussion, I was just sharing of with Ms. 𝗔𝗶𝗃𝗧𝗹𝗪 also, that this transformation, this kind of a transformation at least, it won't happen on a single day, right? You don't wake up suddenly one fine morning and say you're a healthcare company. So it is a lot of little bit of consistent effort that you put towards that direction. So first of all, I would like to say that we look at performance and transformation as two different things. So many times I find that actually a little bit of a problem, because unless you keep performing on certain things, there is no transform actually. And perform and transform are really some objectives that we have as a company, but most often than not, you really need to perform on a regular basis. Of course, there are some transformational directions that you will achieve by doing that, but then there is a lot of nibbling that happens on the sides. Continuously that you keep doing that on a sustained basis, then you get to a certain transformation that happens over a period of time. So that's one thing that I wanted to share, about that point. And then, this whole thing about data, we talk about data, but data is really data is the new oil, also they say, right? But oil itself is getting extinct. That's the fact. And, at least in the context of automobiles, if data is the new oil, and then I don't know what to say about battery, right? So that is the battery pack for me is really insights. And if someone throws Excel sheets at me, I'll say, please go home, right? I don't want data, because there is enough of data, enough and more of data. I can produce more data also if you want, but that's not the objective. Finally, if you don't give me insights as a finance leader, I cannot help the business do better. So this is some message that we are also driving through the organization to say that, hey, let's look at insights that are actionable. And that is when you will have proper outcomes. Otherwise, you will be simply fishing for more data, and there is enough and more of data. So these are some key thoughts that I thought are really important for us to sort of look at, and that's what we've been driving, at least in our organization.
Germany is going back to coal, by the way, right?
That's sustainable. Just continuing, and if something just goes back to what Nikhil said. You said no Excel, no PPT. The BIU, the data, the information is from the source. As the CFO or the finance team, in your organization, do you have to, or do you have a requirement or need for interpretation or understanding the way it should be done? There's a lot of, and he said, I don't want data. Now, data is there, and we all have the data now. And she mentioned about 2000 KPIs, and I want to reduce to simple. Now, how do I convert this data to information and to action? Is there something which you practice, which is something which is interesting for all of us?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we focus on from a finance or business finance perspective is really the story behind the numbers. The whole goals of the business finance teams is focused around what's the information that they have telling, right? It has to be, let's say if I send something to my business partner as a problem statement is, okay, what do I do with it? So what's the solution, right? That's what they expect. It's not just about, I'm giving you the data, it's showing a certain trend, the orders, the demand is going down, but why is it going down? So it's all about the story behind the numbers. There's a certain trend that's happening. There could be multiple factors. Before I send the data, the team is expected to analyze the data and the factors behind that trend, right? So is it the pricing which is driving it? Is there something happening in the macro? Do we have a lot of backlog, which is we're not able to fulfill because of the chips issue, semiconductor chips issue, right? So the customers are not placing more orders because there's already so much of past due that has happened. So there are a lot of factors that you have to look into, and then you send out, with all the analytics. It's not just about feeding data and let people figure out, the stakeholders figure out themselves. That's absolutely not the intention. I think the whole point is we have very limited time during the month close. Everybody knows that we try to close books in 3 days. Or 4th or 5th day, we have the calls with global, and the next week we do the retail business review. So we are building certain standard analytics that we do, and then there's always a flavor of the month, right? Because there will always be something that didn't go well, which we have to deep dive into before those business reviews. And that's where we spend time on. So it's all about understanding the information, and then you have to work with the multiple functions. You can't do things in silos. So you have to work in marketing, with business, with sales to understand what happened. And that's a continuous process. You have to live your day as if you're running the business, and you need to understand what's happening in the business. It can't be just a month-end activity where you go figure out what is this number saying. So you have to know your business on a day in and out basis. You have to sit next to your business partner, understand the decisions they make. You have to be part of those decisions. In at least the companies I work for, including Honeywell, finance plays a very important role in driving the business. We are equal, I would say, business partners. Most of our decisions are taken jointly. There's always, I would say, tussle or disagreements, but as long as the goal is one, which is to grow and profitably, the data never lies, right? So we talk through data. There's no gut feel here. You throw data in front of the people, and normally you come out with the best decision. So that's the way we normally run day to day and drive the business, right? So it's definitely telling the business where the problem is, what's causing the problem, and then we debate what we should do going forward about it.
As I hear both of you, I see something which is probably already happening, but going to happen much faster pace, is probably all of this is going to lead to an AI/ML revolution in the finance. So what we are doing is probably going to be even more automated and more predictive analytical work than, and with scenario plays is going to be the way forward. I don't know how many of your businesses ML AI is in part of the finance yet.
So I'll just take that question. Sometimes these, and we have that. I'm just saying sometimes AI and robots, etc., becomes the flavor. If you don't have, you feel that you're left behind. It is not so. I feel first is to really understand who your customer is. I think so. Every center of the problem. Sometimes what happens, we as finance guys drive the process so hard, you forget whom are you driving it for. So I think so. We took a step back, and then we said, for example, we converted our entire accounting at the hospital units to accounting shared service in Bangalore. So we said, okay, we'll drive the accounting shared service. What's the output? The output is a highly productive team, which Nikhil was referring to in his organization, and taking away the transactions from the unit teams. Now, so that they are not only doing transaction, but they start doing value-added work. But can we do it more productively than a GenPack? So we actually then got the AI done. We got the RPA done. Today, I take my team out to Infosys, saying that, you guys think you have done a great job, let's go to Infosys, who have been closing books in 2 days, they have been closing books in 3 days. We found out that our speed of processing was 3 times faster than Infosys. And this is what happened after I actually insourced the entire shared service. So we were outsourced, we insourced at 60% lesser cost. And today I run the team at 40% more productive than any GenPack organization. So what has that done? I have not added people with the acquisitions I have done. The entire, whatever leakages that potentially can happen because we are a B2C company is all gone out. All the payments are done there. Today my finance team in the unit says, sir, no supplier comes to us. I says, great, it should not. The people who are processing the bills have nothing to do with the patients, because that is one thing that I heard, ki patient mar jayega sir, karna padega. So, you take that all out. It's all done as per process. It comes, it automatically reads, it fills in. We have got 85% now on the robots where it reads automatically and puts the GRN in. That's given us tremendous potential to now put more and more people to what we call analytics, to understand the data trends, convert. Now we have patients' data of millions visit our hospital every day. Now there is so much data, so you convert some of that into departments and see what trends in which department is getting. And after the last 6 years that I've been with Manipal, we have added doctors with my CEO and CEO into departments which were doing better and more profitably, reduced resources in departments which were actually bleeding. And we have actually also gone ahead and done contract changes with the doctors which were very high cost, but the departments were very low. So you are right. So you have to convert data to a meaningful action, and that's what I drive with my teams. As he rightly said, don't give me data. What's the action behind that data? If you are looking at departmental P&L, so what is the action that you're going to drive? And it's not easy to drive a finance team from getting all the things done, because they get tired getting everything done, to now make them more action oriented. And I think so that is a transformation journey that our finance is anyways doing, so that we do not get replaced by robots, right? And so that.
I'm assuming all of this is making healthcare cheaper in Manipal.
That's what I said. We still import
want to
machines from
get that
Philips.
Do you have a loyalty program?
So,
Well, he already warned me, well, I'm not from Bangalore.
not healthcare cheaper, we'll make healthcare more available to the citizens of the country. We have severe shortfall of beds, so we keep investing in more hospitals. 3 more hospitals are coming up in Bangalore, by the way. So you have 1 airport coming, 3 more hospitals in Bangalore.
See, I just realized, so you have not, specifically have not mentioned the word cheaper, so I have understood a point.
We give you better quality. So it's quality of delivery, not the cheap of quality, which I think so as Indians, quality
Affordable?
of healthcare, healthcare in India is 1/10 the cost of US. And you're mentioning US airports, right? 1/10 the cost. A root canal in the US costs $1,400, which is, it's 2 lakhs.
And a
And
waiting
it's 10,000 rupees in India, which people find expensive. So,
and waiting time of 3 months.
and waiting time of 3
Here,
months.
either you have to wait or you have to pay.
So I don't see cheap, we say it affordable and quality healthcare, which is the best in the world. I think so that's what we'll get at. Yes.
Yeah, and Manipal is not in Chennai, we still have only Apollo there.
Yes, I know.
Only Apollo and Fortis.
We have in Tamil Nadu, but not in Chennai. Yes.
Not in Chennai. So I think somewhere Chennai people are skipping off. I have to figure out what is the reason. Probably the lone warrior in this room from Chennai. Okay, so I think I heard the bell, but again repeat what I've said at the beginning of it. Each one of their experience is so unique, and I only realize how much more can be done by a leader who's just committed to it. I could see in each one of them somebody who's so passionate and have made so meaningful change in the organization, which I said in my thing, so quietly and at the back end, made a revolution to the organization. I don't know. We could probably proudly say we're the unsung heroes or the foot soldiers. But that is making the difference to the organization. We are talking about an institution which is left behind his 125-year product, but taken off something and creating value to it. There is an institution which is created leaps and bounds to the Indian aviation industry or airports. You look at healthcare. I think each one have done something so unique and so scale. I think that is something which is again very interesting. I think what I see here and again I see in India, it's an opportunity when I hear someone mention this. If you mentioned this, a GDP growth means more requirement and everything is direct to the growth. I think that is growth which we are seeing, and I think that gives us an opportunity for all of us here in this room, that ability to do more than what we're doing right now, because it's going to be growing very fast. Hopefully India is the fastest growing now, and therefore we are in the right springs of right stage, right point in time to grow much faster than where we are.
So Subhashri, I just want to add to what you said. I mean, you told that brilliantly. I mean, in a sense, I was asked, how can you be passionate about accounting? This is way back probably. It's not that, it's just that passion translates, and today, as CFO, this is the transformation that the CFO has really done, is that there is no decision in an organization possible without the active participation of a CFO. Now the CFO is one who, has partnered every CXO in the organization. no meeting is meaningful without a CFO being there. And that's a transformation which I think the profession has really brought in. And today the role of CFO has also metamorphosed, and I saw that, I think you mentioned that, there are different roles that the CFO is now getting into. For instance, in 𝗙𝗏, it's procurement, it's legal, it's treasury, project finance, it's regulatory, everything reporting onto a CFO. So the power that a CFO, or the enablement that the CFO brings into the organization, I mean, probably other than a position of HR, every other role is something that a CFO runs today.
Let me conclude this, and this is again something personal. In my last current role, which is the group CFO, I realized when I started with my career, I was learning. At a stage in life, I realized I knew what I was doing. I was completely on top of it. Then at a point in stage in time, I got bored because you could wake me up in the middle of the night, I could say it because it's been doing this day in and day out and day in and day out. As I said, quarters and quarters, you do it. And today at stage, I've come to a point in life, I know nothing what is happening around. And that is the elitist position you be in. Because there are so many things happening around. You come to a stage that you are not the one making it happen, but you are actually being responsible for everything which is happening. So you move on from a stage where you are actually the creator of it, from moving from a creator to actually know this is what I am signing in, I know these numbers, to finally getting products from elsewhere, and you are only reacting to those and not actually making it happen. It's a stage in life. I come to meetings, and what you said, I come to a stage into meetings, into a room. I have people around me, my legal profession, my legal guy, my IT guy, IT team, the HR. I think they know more than I know at that point. But then you end up arbitrating. The nice arbitrator, I was like here and today, now I'm doing arbitration. It's a very same similar to, which is what I want to conclude, that I know so little and the people around me know more. But then you are in the position of arbitrating. I'm just doing that, and thank you all. Thank you all the audience for patiently listening to us. And I think I've had the privilege of discussing and meeting people who I enjoyed, and I think I'm really treasure this interaction. Thank you so much.